Hey everyone, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is a market radar for Friday. Tomorrow's Friday, right? Yeah, September 19th. September 19th. Tonight, the vote on Scotland will happen. The polls close at 5 o'clock. You might actually see some action on the futures tonight. Definitely seen in the Forex markets. So want to go over some things that I'm noticing setting up for, well, just at the end of the day, for tomorrow at least. Alibaba IPO coming out, the Scottish vote, which, you know, you got the feeling that it's going to end up being no, and I think that's a positive for the market. I think if it ends up being a surprisingly yes, if they're going to leave Great Britain, I think that will negatively impact the market. So it's just it's an up in the air thing. You can't do anything about it. You got to wait for it to come out. Other than that, if you didn't have any news or anything, what you're looking at here is just what we talked about last week. The perfect channel. The only thing is there's news out here that's going to drop us out, and there was no news. We had the Fed come out. Janet Yellen did what was expected. The statement was, very dovish, and they actually pushed some dates out there. We're talking time frame. All the went out to 2017. Market here took that in stride, and it just broke out of the channel. We pulled back enough momentum here, shifted. We got a nice turn back up here, and we had a follow through. And today we had another follow through, and now we have the Scottish vote, which will probably be again, if it comes out as a no. It can't hurt. I don't think it's going to hurt the market. I think the market has a shot of that gapping up and then selling off. If we take a look at that 60-minute time frame, it all started again out of a perfectly recognized pattern. And we've been mapping this pattern out. We talked about this level being a great level, and we started moving up off of it. We got back up here. We're embedded now, which is a sign of strength. But that is not, a long-term thing. So eventually we are going to get a little consolidation pullback. My guess is, tomorrow again between the Scottish vote, the hype on the IPO, there's going to be a lot of interesting action here. So we're going to look for that gap up, possible gap up tomorrow, and then being a Friday, being how the market's kind of extended here, and we haven't rotated back here, I'm going to look for that rotation to start tomorrow on the 60-minute time frame. And it could go totally opposite. We might have a rip-roaring day all the way up to, because the market is breaking out. Let's go out on that note right there. If we take a look here at the recent highs, the market today closed at all-time highs. S&P all-time highs, Dow at all-time highs. Let me get that one up here. Yeah, here we go. And again, nice little pop up here, and just a good breakout. And take a look at the Russell. The Russell here. Russell is what we call, and this is a pattern that we're going to start off talking about tonight, is what we call a channel breakout stochastic rotation. Textbook HPS and what I call, a DayTraderRockStar playbook play. It's based off of patterns, how patterns usually work, understanding momentum in patterns, and just seeing these patterns play out over and over again and having enough data to kind of recognize that, wait for it, and take the higher probability trades. Not a 100% guaranteed thing, but it increases your odds greatly when you have things working in your favor and you start to feel the momentum and you've bought into the weakness and stuff. So it's about recognizing good quality names. In this case, the overall market here, the Russell here pulling back, but pulling back to a point where we're getting oversold, and we actually did break through this channel. So the chances of this channel breaking out, we're going to look for that new underlying low. In this case, you could actually, you see a trend line here, but the object of this rotation play is to actually establish a new pivot area. So when you establish a new pivot area, you understand that this channel is finally broken out. So what does that mean? Well, now we're starting to move back up. And if we move up, we're going to have to pull back, stair step up. The stochastics measures that first step back. And that first step back, you wait for that crossover, and then you put your pivot in here, and now we're starting to, work off of this trend line. It could come up here a little, pull back, or it can move up. That's how we start to build things. And that's what the market's looking like right now. We had the breakout. There is still news out there that can affect the market, but going into tomorrow, we have a whole new watch list coming out. I have a whole new watch list coming out. And just to review this week's kind of watch list as we're getting to the end of the week, We got out of most of the oil and gas stocks. They just were not performing. Base materials, not the trade to be in, especially with the strong dollar. Understood that. All right, I took those setups on on some patterns. The patterns broke down. The diamond offshore, I was looking at this underlying 1, 2, 3 pattern. We did break down through it. I had to cut and run. Same thing here with the rig. Just, today rig, actually, we're going to talk about rig. Beautiful candle, and that's what's happened. You could get into a good position. We don't look at rig that often. And for my credit, last time we looked at rig was back here, and we actually caught this nice bounce. So it makes sense to look at a pattern that plays out over and over again. So we were looking at that pattern in this area, and it broke down. And there's a lot of people following it, so it's a little pressure when you start to see something break down. You got to make a call, and I have a feeling that we're very close to a nice, significant bounce. But am I going to get back in here? I don't think so. It's been a hard trade for me. Timing, basic materials, gold, oil, in general. So I'm probably going to leave it be. Stick to the stocks that have really been keying on for us. I mean, the Discovery here, great setup. Again, another example of the downward channel, the stochastic rotation, first rotation, and that's how we had established that new trend line. And I was just showing, I have these trend lines because I'm using these charts during the day on the show, and I put them there. I put those, and we wait for that rotation, understand the channel, understand the reversal candles, and understand this is also under the 200, a quality name. Everything pointed for a push back up. So very good action there. Loving the setup. And we could go right down the line of what we've been trading this week. Basically here, Las Vegas Sands, another HPS playbook play. What we call coil stochastic channel breakout. You buy the coil once it gets down into that real tightening zone. You want to have that underlying price in the channel and buy it off the lower trend line. This gap down, we picked it up and we traded it up. We actually traded it for a day and had a great return on. Didn't hold it today. It was out yesterday at, near the highs, and we had follow through. And this trade still looks really, really good, especially for a retracement just to this trend line. But again, these are no longer HPS type of zones, even though we're looking for a possible move up here to 65. So I think we could see another dollar to the upside and possibly a total breakout back up here. So many interesting setups now. From one week to the next week. It's just some weeks you're going to have the patience to sit back, let the market do what it wants, and don't force the trade. I think that was he hasn't sorry, I'm just updating with Paul there. So again, beautiful charts. And let's go over a few more here. Discovery, the Cabela's, we're out of that one too, but again, the same type of setup. I was just kind of show you the great recognizable channel, the breakout, the first rotation. In this case, you had a rotation and you had what we call a trend line retracement. It's a trend line that you break out of, you come back. And the same thing to the downside. There's a rising trend line and you break down from it, you look for that retracement back up to it. So, fantastic trade. Looking really good. LBTYA. Here's another textbook channel. We picked it up off the lower channel line. This was one of the best bets of the week. And it was because of this rising trend line. The lower trend line, this area became very good. And again, just popped the next day real fast and we got out of it. Now it's consolidated and we actually like it. I kind of like it going forward. Now Sony, weird stock. We had a great trade on it, took half profits. It gapped down. We actually got back in and gap back down a little bit further on some bad news. And this sets us, this Sony sets itself back up as other than the bad news and the great volume coming out, the sell side volume, which is kind of dangerous. You look at this underlying trend line, you look at the 200 period moving average, you don't have an oversold level yet, and that could be a problem. But it's an interesting level here. I mean, it's Sony, and you know what? Not calling it a bottom here. It's interesting. I want to watch it the next couple of days. Another good example, the coil breakout, slow breakout. So going into tomorrow, I still think we have some more upside here on Tractor Supply Company. One of the trend line retracements, even though it's not a very strong trend line, there's a couple of interesting levels here on Tractor Supply Company. It recently broke out of here of a small channel into a bigger channel, pulled back aggressively. In the middle of this pullback, we had a sell side, maybe a blog report, analyst, newsletter, article, something come out, put a little pressure on Tractor Supply Company. And then the market sold off a bit. so it got sucked down, and then we knew it was pretty good here. So it's a great level, had a great candle, and then we have some follow through. We got everything lined up here. So this is another example of this channel breakout, first rotation. Actually, here's the first rotation right here, and then we actually got a nice move up from that. But this is the second rotation back down here, and that's quite nice. It is a nice setup here. So I'm looking for that to get some further upside. CHK, nice retracement, but it had some weakness today. And again, energy stocks here, just not feeling good about them. Too good out of most of them. But this one I am in, and I'm going to watch this trend line. I don't want it to lose the trend line. It's staying within this channel, but I like the trend line retracement here. It's oversold. That's what we liked about it. It's popped up here. It's pulled back a little. It's chopping around. It's interesting. Probably the weakest of all the setups for the long side. And if we talk about short side setups, so, with the market so strong, breaking out the all-time highs, it's a stock short pickers market. I guess we have to really pick those stocks. The last short here was the WDC, and that's pulled back, and it was just taking the wind in the sails type of trade. We got the crossover, and we're just pulled it all the way back, but now it's overextended and big pop today. So is that going to fail? There was another interesting one that someone brought to my attention today. I forget what it was, but here we go. NLS Nielsen. Nice setup for tomorrow. Really like this one. There is a no classic channel, being put in like a 1, 2, 3 pattern. It's kind of wide here, but what I'm doing is I'm just kind of guesstimating. If we had a parallel channel line, a parallel here, just kind of making two parallel lines based off of these two pivots, and we could adjust those a little. They could go this way a little, but it feels right here, and I'm just going to watch this level. I think we're approaching a good level in here. Is it going to be here? Or is it? I want to see the pivot, move back up. I want to see basically these highs being taken out, so we can really identify that pivot. And if it happens to be there, then we could adjust these to that, and then we know that this parallel channel more likely is going to look like this if we concentrate on that. But in any case, the breakdown here, Nielsen here, whenever you have a breakdown underneath this channel line, the first move up here, first resistance, is going to be a retest of that channel line. This stays within the pattern. So I think we're close to this, close to a bottom here, short-term bottom before an okay bounce. So I would really just adjust that circle and just say, all right, you know what? Instead of being too concerned about, picking the perfect bottom, understand it could be here, could be here. I mean, if we think about how close our entries are, our entries exactly are, it's hard to say if this is going to be that lower trend line. I'm going to guess that it's going to be a little bit lower, but that guess is just a guess. Because I like the candlestick here yesterday. I'm going to watch it tomorrow morning early, and I like it. The 60-minute. If it coiled down one more time, it will also cause me to think that we have something going on here as a tighter channel playing out. But it's not a real textbook channel. It kind of messed that up before. But this is looking good down here. Nielsen. Again, you'll find a lot of these stocks on tomorrow's watch list tomorrow night when we get out to the whole new watch list. But I just wanted to update you on some stocks. WY. Interesting, right? This is a construction material lumber company, and really just a great trend line. It's up to you. Ball's in your court on this one. And the other one that's interesting here, it's a what we call a bounty trade. Someone brought it to my attention. I recognize that I took a trade off of it. So if I take a trade off of someone's idea, I want to share my profits with them. And it's basically Delphi Automotive, oversold, 200-period moving average, parallel channel line. The only negative here is I typically trade the pullback, a steeper channel, different type of channel. I don't usually trade buy-side channels like this. I like to, any type of rising channel, I tend to, get the extension and look for that pullback short versus, and then the one coming down, We look for that buying into weakness. Whenever we buy into that weakness and we get that extreme sell-off, it's down here. It's looking really good. That's what we like. And that's what we're seeing here. But we're also seeing this rise in trend line. So, hopefully it does hold here. And we start to bounce back up off of that. So that's it. Going into tomorrow, looks good. I would watch for the gap up. If we do have the gap up, well, I'd be cautious and watch the selling IPO coming out tomorrow. Alibaba, it's going to be fun. I look to be trading it. I want to be part of it. The big question is where does it open up? Where does it open up? The guess is, above 80. What's the over/under on this? I would say 80 is the over/under. I'm going to go with the over 80, and possibly much further. I was talking, maybe $100. Over $100. That's, it's going to seem like something's going on here. Anyway, that's tomorrow. BABA. Tune in if you want to be part of it. Tune in tomorrow. DayTradingRadio.com. We'll see you in the markets.